What's good, everyone? This your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room. And as you know, yes, we're going to report a little news here too at the same time too with other things that I do and things like that. Hopefully you all are enjoying, but it's time for a little news here. And this is the facts here. So apparently Donald Trump, President Trump, wants to reopen ALCATRAZ. Shout out to that.
And that
No, my bad. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah. So apparently Donald Trump wants to reopen ALCATRAZ. And ALCATRAZ was one of our notorious prisons that we had over here in America, held a lot of individuals, serious criminals, things like that, at one point in time. And, we're going to get to who these criminals were at one point. But ALCATRAZ, to be honest with you, that would be cool. In my eyes, it's a secluded prison out in the middle of the San Francisco Bay. It's hard to get to unless you're able to get to it, and it's hard to escape from. So let's go here now. Let's see what the press secretary has to say from Donald Trump about trying to reopen ALCATRAZ. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
Time for a Hannity Washington White House briefing. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt is with us. Karoline, thank you. ALCATRAZ, tell me more.
Yeah, I like Karoline.
Great to see you, Sean. Thank you so much. And this is a phenomenal idea by President Trump that will be executed upon. In fact, I can confirm for you that the White House has already administered calls with the Bureau of Prisons, our counterparts at the Department of Justice, and our counterparts at the Department of Interior, because ALCATRAZ is now run by the National Park Service. And we know our great Secretary of Interior, Doug Burgum, is in charge of that. So the Bureau of Prisons has already confirmed that they are assessing next steps to reopen this notorious prison. And the reason for it is because President Trump is leaving no stone unturned to restore law and order to our country and to make it very clear to criminals, repeat offenders, not just illegal immigrant criminals, but also American citizens who have refused to comply with our nation's laws. If you have been repeatedly breaking the law, if you are in and out of prison, that is ending under this administration. President Trump's team is going to enforce our laws and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. So we are absolutely looking into this, assessing next steps, and it's a part of the president's big picture law and order agenda, which is obviously working, especially when you look at the illegal border crossings at our southern border. The border is secure, mass deportations are underway, and law and order is back in America thanks to President Trump.
Now, I do have to say that the border crossing situations are down. Shout out to that. Hey, they tremendously dropped the moment, Trump got rid of all these programs that Biden put in office, things like that. Like I told you, we're going to report a little news around here, okay? Well, not a little, but, it is what it is. This is major. This is a major situation. ALCATRAZ hasn't been in use since maybe the late 60s or something like that. ALCATRAZ is a formidable prison. Sorry, but it is. Let's keep going.
Karoline, what did you and the administration make of the Sinaloa cartel gang member interviewed on CNN? Why would they care what he thinks?
Well, it was fascinating to me, Sean. I was actually scrolling on Instagram when I came across this interview, and it stopped me in my tracks, not just because they sat down with a member of a Mexican cartel that is now designated as a foreign terrorist organization by the United States government, but because of the nature of the questions of this notorious foreign terrorist. It was a softball interview giving a platform to a notorious drug cartel that has killed American citizens. I thought it was quite despicable. But again, this is just another reason why the trust in the legacy media is at an all-time low amongst the American public.
Well, Karoline, things are changing dramatically inside the press briefing room. You have a lot of new media that you have invited in. I thought it was very clever when you walk in the White House in the front gate, you see that there's sort of like a media row and all the different networks have the little spot. And then behind them, you put posters of people that committed the most heinous crimes against Americans for most of those networks, that might be the first time that people are learning about the number of crimes, the murders and rapes and violent crimes committed by people, because they didn't really report on it that often. And then a lot of chatter today about, quote, the White House's own Drudge Report. You have decided to put out your own information that people can now bypass the media and go directly to what you're saying about the different issues and what the president's doing, a whole new approach to media. Tell me about it.
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. And it's because President Trump has revolutionized media and the way Americans consume media. He started this on the campaign when he opened the campaign to social media influencers and podcasters, and he was willing to take that non-traditional media route. And we have continued that effort at the White House. And it's sad, truly, that we have to put mugshots of illegal alien criminals on the front lawn of the White House in order for the mainstream media to actually cover these stories. They should be covering them, but because they do not, we will put them right in their faces. And
I don't see anything wrong with that. That's what needs to happen. Damn it, let it happen.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
Let it happen. All right, before we go on, because I want to go here real quick, and then we're going to go back to the press secretary, and I want to show you guys something about this ALCATRAZ situation. And some of the individuals that were held in ALCATRAZ, of course, we all know the notorious gangster Al Capone was held at ALCATRAZ. You know what I'm saying? He discovered that he had syphilis at ALCATRAZ, and he later died from syphilis from dealing with all those prostitutes back in the day. I mean, it just is what it is. Look it up. So, George Machine Gun Kelly was there, James Whitey Bulger. And if you remember the movie Black Mass, which Johnny Depp starred in, he played Whitey Bulger in that movie. And Black Mass, if you hadn't seen it, go watch it. Good movie. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. And also, the Birdman of ALCATRAZ. Listen, look, ALCATRAZ was definitely a secure prison. Legend being told, pretty much not legend, but records show that only 2 people were able to escape from ALCATRAZ, but they never were found. Now, ALCATRAZ is a island in the middle of, the San Francisco Bay and things like that, and it's surrounded, it's a sea, so there's sharks and all types of dangerous animals in that water. So I'm pretty sure that those prisoners were probably ate up by those dangerous animals. And it is what it is, though. But ALCATRAZ, I think, is a prison, and I've been thinking about this for years. The reason, I'm like, why doesn't the government reopen ALCATRAZ? That's a great prison to hold our criminals in America, because it's secluded. It's not very easy to get to unless you know how to, navigate those types of waters, because in San Francisco, those waters are treacherous to a degree. Also, too, it's very hard to escape from, because unless you are able to galvanize some type of boat or something like that as a prisoner to escape, you can't just walk out that prison and walk on water out there. It's just not going to happen.
And what the French toast is there to think about?
It's not going to happen. So yeah, it's crazy, but it's true. ALCATRAZ is one of the prisons that I think, in previous times, that they were smart to actually, that little island, they were smart to actually build a prison on, if you just really, want to get to the truth. All right, so we're going to go back and finish what Ms. Karoline Leavitt had to say about everything. Let's go here now.
Drew a lot of attention, as it should. Last week at the White House, I met with angel mothers whose names your audience may not know, because they are living in silence. They are living in a tragic circumstance where their children were taken away from them by illegal alien criminals. And no politician, they told me, until Donald Trump cared about their stories, cared about listening to them. So we had them at the White House last week for a listening session. We're going to continue to engage with these angel parents who have lost their children as a result of the Democrats' open border policies. And every day we are reminded by their testimony, their stories, the lives of their loved ones, law-abiding American citizens who should still be with us when we are mass deporting illegal alien criminals from our nation's interior. Those efforts continue. As you just saw from the Secretary of Homeland Security, we are encouraging illegal aliens in the interior of our country to self-deport. ICE is conducting successful operations on the ground in communities across the country. But if you are here illegally, do the right thing and go home. This president and this administration are enforcing our nation's immigration laws on behalf of the law-abiding American citizens who want to trust our system of justice, but especially on behalf of those who have tragically lost their lives at the hands of violent illegal criminals.
And what the French toast is there to think about?
To me, it ain't nothing to think about. Listen, look, man, this reopening of ALCATRAZ, I think it's a great scenario. Now, Trump has already struck a deal with El Salvador, to harbor some of our hardened criminals and things like that, whether they be, pretty much the illegals here. Because right now we still can't deport natural born American citizens that are our, hardened criminals. We can't deport those people, right now. So, but I'm sorry though, and I'm gonna say it too. I'm gonna say this because it has to be said. Listen, look, man, even if you're naturally born here in America and your bloodline goes back for generations, if you are a hardened criminal, like you commit egregious crimes and stuff like that, I think I'm open to send these people to El Salvador. I'm open to it. I wish there was a law that was created to, let those types of people, go there. Like, let's get them out the country. You know what I'm saying? If El Salvador wants to take them and they have use for them or whatever, yeah, let's get these, let's get these horrible people up out of here. But, that's a whole nother topic and that's a whole nother legal issue. So let's keep going just a little bit more. Let's see what's going on here now.
Last question. Wall Street had just had its longest winning streak since 2004. It has a slight dip today, but leading up to today. And I guess people want to know the status of trade deals. We had Scott Besson on the program last week. He said there are 17 identified countries to go first, and he's very confident that they're getting closer to making these trade deals and resolving the tariff issues. Can you update us on?
Okay, well, they're going into trade issues and tariff deals. My view on this situation was bringing to the fact about trying to reopen ALCATRAZ. So we're going to stick with that. And this is where we at here. Yes. Should ALCATRAZ be reopened? Yes. Yes. That's been one of our prisons that has been overlooked for quite some time and that we could utilize to harbor, the most heinous criminals. Now, yeah, of course, if you if you break a traffic ticket law or, you're behind on your child support, because, yeah, everybody, the court system do like to lock men up for being late on child support or being behind, it is what it is. Or you do, little minor crimes or something like that. Of course, no, that's ALCATRAZ, no. But if you do something that's egregious to other human beings, or, you just this demon type of individual, yeah, ALCATRAZ is the way to go. Yeah, I think we should reopen ALCATRAZ. They should redo the file, get in there, redo the whole prison, and my thought process for years, like I said before, has been the fact that, yes, I think we do need to, revamp Alcatraz. It's a great area to hold our prisoners and things like that. And yeah. And the government, we've been spending billions of dollars on other shit. You know what I'm saying? It's probably going to take a few, a couple of $100 million, a little bit more to, revamp Alcatraz. You know what I'm saying? Rebuild it, restructure it, things like that, get the foundation and things like that fixed on that island. Yeah. So, man, I think reopening Alcatraz is a great thing. Shout out to that.
And what the French toast is there to think about?
Yeah. Shout out to that. To hold our most, our real criminals, the super serious criminals. Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.